Welcome user to spawn point.
So this is Kelly's Corner, episode uno. I am Kelly, of course. I'm joined with my good friends, good buddies, Michael and Walker. Today we're talking about, if you couldn't tell, it's the year 2020. Arguably one of the worst years in the last set that I can remember. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, PS5 is coming out in November, so we figured we would sort of do a retrospective look at the last generation of the PS4, which has been around from around 2013 to 2020. It was 2013, 2014. It was around that. Just because I remember when when PS4 was announced, it was less than a year after I bought my PS3. So I remember that because it was like, yeah, I can play with my friends now. They're like, Kelly, you know the PS4 is coming out, and I was like, fuck. Anyway, this is mainly to look at the last 7 years of PS4 itself. We're sticking with PS4 and not doing gaming in general because most of us here, we mainly play PS4. That's what we mainly put up on the channel. We have some other stuff, hopefully, but that's mainly what we're at least for me, that's mostly what I know is PS4. So let's start off with the greatest game I think that come out through the PS4 is Goat Simulator.
Next topic.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Okay.
You didn't tell us about this.
Anyway, I know, I derailed it, but I have footage for you to use, so remember, you should check out Goat Simulator at some point. The greatest game of in PS4's generation.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, yeah,
All right,
okay.
Yeah. I'll take
Next
your...
topic.
Yeah, sure. Take your word for that.
But no, in all seriousness, the first one we're talking about is actually GTA 5, which came out in 2013. It originally came out for the PS3, which it actually broke around 5 world records when it came out, because it became, after 24 hours of its release, it became the highest revenue generated in a 24 hours period by any entertainment product. And I'm not just talking about video games, I'm talking about like movies, everything. It broke that record, and then also became
the still accurate?
Yeah, it is actually.
I wasn't sure if
Wait, so Endgame didn't do as well as
Endgame didn't beat that?
GTA 5?
No, it didn't. Again, this is the fastest within a 24-hour period. I'm pretty sure it still stands today, but I know Endgame. I'm pretty sure Endgame didn't beat it. But
Right.
This next one, I know Endgame didn't beat because it was the fastest to generate $1 billion in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And before it broke that record, it was held by movies like Avengers and Avatar.
So remember
So-
that every single time
Naturally.
you're driving around in your fucking Fiat 9000, whatever the hell cars they have in that game now,
Oh, yeah, I
you're a
know.
part of the problem.
Okay.
Or the problem, no. That's a good thing for video games.
Yeah.
You're right.
But it actually sold 11.21 million units in the first 24 hours it came out, which to me it kind of baffles me about that. 11.2 million copies. There's some games that don't even hit that record in like 2
Like, in their
years, and
entire
it hit it in 3
lifetime.
days. Yeah. Like another game we're talking about a little bit later, right after this actually, is Infamous Second Son, and it only sold over 1 million units in 9 days. So it
are
took
we
them
talking
9
about
days to hit that.
We're talking about the PS3 version of this game, correct? Like just overall version of this game when it released.
Yes, when the game itself first came out.
Okay.
But it also, to this day though, and this is including PS4 as well, it sold over 120 million units as of February 2020, making it the third most sold game ever. The only two games that have beaten it have been
let me guess.
Minecraft.
Oh.
Okay.
No, was it,
Well,
Well,
was it
guess the
Minecraft?
other one. Guess the other one.
Fortnite?
I was gonna say
Nope.
Tetris or something.
It is
Oh,
Tetris.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably
okay.
Tetris.
Minecraft and Tetris, the game that pretty much every single person has played at one point or another. Those are the only two games.
Tetris, yeah.
Yeah, those are the only two games that have beaten GTA on overall sales. But that being said, the reason it was so popular was because it was the first time that they had released a major installment for the Grand Theft Auto series since 2008, I believe.
Yeah,
which
it
one,
took 5 years to design Grand Theft Auto 5, essentially.
Right, and there are rumors now that they're working on a Grand Theft Auto 6, but
And it's gonna smash all the records again.
Yeah.
It might. I mean, with how.
I mean, honestly, like I know GTA 5. Like I've personally like fallen out of the game. I haven't played it in so long, but we used to play that every single night.
Yes, we.
And,
Oh, yeah.
that was like a ritual for us was to play that. But
Yeah.
like honestly, if they make a 6, of course I'm gonna buy it. Like it'll be a great
Yeah.
game.
And honestly, it has not to talk about our own videos and stuff like that, but you should if you're listening to this, go check out Boss Boss Boss. That's one of our GTA videos. It's my personal favorite one.
Shameless
That
plug.
yeah,
Shameless
but
plug.
oh yeah, gotta love those shameless plugs. But anyway, that was the biggest factor of it, was it came out with GTA Online, which was a big selling point for it, I think, which is ironic because it didn't even come out with the game when it launched. But I'm pretty sure, and I might be wrong on it, so if I am, let me know. But I think they advertised that they were coming out with an online version of it when the game
Yeah,
was coming out.
I believe they
It just
did.
took them a
They were
while to make
advertising.
it.
They said they'd take 6 months to actually get the GTA Online servers activated.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they had to do finishing touches stuff like that, and people were finding glitches in story mode, and so they were fixing that on online as they were fixing it in story mode, so it would launch as a better product.
Right. So that was a big selling point for it. So when it transferred over, when the console transferred over and the PS4 came out, it was sort of a given that GTA 5 would transfer over. And now, I mean, it's still played today. I was playing with a friend earlier. He told me he went through the top most watched games on Twitch, and GTA 5 was still in the top 10. So people still watch it today. They still enjoy it, and there's still new content being added to it, almost on a monthly basis, I
They
believe.
did the Diamond Heist like 2 months ago, didn't they? They finished
Yeah.
chapter 3 of that, or whatever.
Yeah, like I got on a couple days ago for it, for online and stuff, and there was whole new stuff for it as well.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they're gonna keep making money on it, and they're going to keep
Oh, yeah.
creating content for it. So
Yeah, and that it just, to me, it was an amazing game. It still is an amazing game. So if you haven't played it, I definitely check it out. Last thing I will mention about it is a thing we kind of touched over, well, we kind of skipped over, was the story mode for it. I personally didn't play much of the previous GTAs. I know of them. Hashtag Big Smoke.
Hang on, are you
But-
telling me you never followed the damn train?
No, I never followed the damn train.
Why are we talking to this kid, Michael?
I don't know. I feel like it's charity, but anyway.
You're right.
Yeah. Make-A-Wish Foundation sent you to me. But no, I know you guys did. Did they have multiple characters that you could play as like GTA 5 does? Because GTA 5 you have Michael, you have Trevor, and Franklin. So you have three main characters that you get to switch and play as.
Yes. Alright, I'm going to talk about GTA 4. So, GTA 4, the story mode, you only played as Nico Bellic. But they did come out with the DLCs, The Ballad of Gay Tony and The Lost and the Damned. And they were DLCs and also, like, separate games, but you did play as different characters in those games.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
it
fun
was one of the
fact,
things that, like,
Johnny from The Lost and the Damned in GTA 4 appears in Grand
He's-
Theft Auto 5 very briefly, but
yeah.
he appears.
Yeah.
well, there's a couple people like that. Like, isn't the
Gay Tony's in the online is in GTA Online.
Yeah, and they also mention Nikolai and
Nico.
everything like that in one of the Nico in one of the missions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
sure.
in
yeah.
Spider-Man for some reason, but yeah, let's go beyond that. But that's one of the things that revolutionized GTA 5 was the fact that you could seamlessly transfer or switch
Yep.
characters at your
That
own
was
will.
one of the things.
Yeah.
Like every other one before that, like I said, it was either a DLC or a cheat code to change who you were.
Right. That was one of the most interesting things that I thought at the time was just the fact you had 3 different characters, and they were like all the GTA's, you could customize the character and everything like that. You can make them wear whatever, drive around in whatever car and stuff. But it was interesting that you could do that with 3 different people, so it gave you a chance to almost create 3 different characters
Of your own.
in a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also an interesting fact. Like each character had like their own ability or a certain thing they liked. Like if you had Franklin, you can get the what was it? The one garage out in the middle of wherever. Well, it's been so long.
Yeah.
But you get your own garage, and pretty much all car upgrades were free.
Right.
And so like, each character had their own like special trait that they kind of followed along with.
Yeah.
So on
And
so
it
forth,
was
so.
it was still interesting because like I said too, you could make 3 of your own 3 characters by yourself, but each of those characters had a different backstory. Like you had Michael, who was an he went into witness protection program after a bad heist, and he's rich, and he lives in this very nice mansion house in Los Santos. You have Franklin, who pretty much he repos cars. Like he's a simple middle class person. He's just trying to make a living. And then you have
Trevor.
you have
and then
Trevor,
there's
who's
Trevor.
my favorite. Yeah, but like they're 3 unique people, so it was very interesting to watch it. And it was almost to me when I played through it, it was like a movie. So it was really interesting to see that, and you could shape it out. And that's, to me, those are the best kinds of video games, is when it almost feels like the story mode could be a movie in itself, and you get to shape it. Anyway, we're moving on now to one of the very first games to come out on the PS4 after it came out, which was Infamous Second Son. It was the 3rd installment, I believe, of the Infamous series. Again, this is another one I never played the previous ones. Infamous Second Son was the first one I played. I know, I'm a sheltered child, but...
Yeah, you need to get out more, dog.
I know.
You say he needs to get out more, but play more games.
Yeah. So
no,
I need to stay
inside.
in more.
You need to stay
Yes.
in more. You were a sheltered child that never played
yeah.
these games.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
the problem here?
He was sheltered
Well, see-
outside of his house.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a doghouse outside. He lived in the garage and wasn't allowed to come
yeah.
in. Only got 2 meals a day.
Oh yeah, I still do. This is just my indoor time. But anyway, as I said earlier, that game sold over 1 million copies in the first 9 days it came out. So again, that was nowhere near as popular as GTA, but it was still a very popular game because it was very well critically received, and I personally played through it. I really enjoyed it. If you don't know what the game is, it's about blanking on the name of the people with abilities.
Let's just
What is it?
Let's just say they have quirks.
Oh god, you gotta pull that into this. Alright, fine. We'll use quote unquote
They're
quirks.
it's the main character's name is Deku, and he's having the power of one for all.
Nope.
No. Anyway, no.
Delson Rowe.
Delson, that's what it is.
Delson
Okay.
and Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie's his
Good old
brother.
Reggie.
Oh, rip
Yeah.
Reggie.
Spoiler. But
Spoiler.
Halfway through the game. It's only halfway through the game you find that out.
I know. Anyway, there are a lot of people in that game that have abilities. Delson's ability is he can copy other people's powers and use them as his own. So throughout the game, he picks up different powers as he goes along. The first one you pick up is like smoke, which he's able to use like he can fire like different like fire projectiles, go through solid objects by turning himself into smoke. He also picks up a power called Neon, which literally allows him to manipulate neon light.
In my mind,
Best
Neon
power.
is the best power, yes. The other two are
Neon's-
useless once you have Neon.
Neon's really good. There's also the video game one, the video one. That one's one of my favorites, just because you can do a lot of fun things with it.
Yeah, but that one almost feels like they're like, all right, here's an all-powerful god thing that you barely use, because you can never find fucking source power for it. But
Oh yeah, I know. It's one of the most rare ones
Neon
to
is literally
find
you
stuff
look at
for
its
it.
sign and you're like, all right, I guess I'm Neon.
Right. And then you have the cement one, which is okay. It's the one that's used by the main villain. You pick it up later on. But
That
in
was
that
honestly
game,
the worst one.
it is. It really
Well,
is.
And you get it so late game. So
Yeah.
you're already used to using your other powers.
Well,
so
and it
Yeah.
sucks because when you get that, it locks you into concrete. Like you can't actually. Well, you can't
Oh,
trade
yeah,
from it
that's
until
true.
you finish that fight, and it's like, oh my god, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Which I guess
That's true.
works, but-
Yeah. Anyway, overall the game was very good in my opinion. I like going around, and plus it was one of the first games for PS4 that had a open world kind of game, and it looked really good. So we got to utilize the new engine to its full extent. I believe the game itself looked very good. Do you guys have any fond memories of Infamous Second Son?
yes, I remember
Yes.
going and finding all of the references to other games, like the Sly Cooper references on like
Oh yeah.
storefronts and that. But yeah, that was I really enjoyed my time playing that game. Really good.
Say, sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope. You go.
See, I remember like when we first you're right. It was one of the first games on PlayStation. And I remember loading it up, and we're so used to PS3 graphics. We were all just babies back then in the first place, and so loading up Second Son for the first time, and all of a sudden everything looks crystal. Like
Oh,
we gotta
yeah.
remember, this was only like shitty graphics still. Like compared to like the PS4 Pro that we have now, it's garbage. But I mean, like back then, it was like, oh my god, this is revolutionary. Like this is, I can see sweat on his skin. Like that kind of.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It was literally that much detail that I could pick up on and notice. And it's just one of those things that was like, now we take it so much for granted because everything's upgraded again.
We're
It's
used
still,
to
like,
it. Yeah.
It's so just inspirational and like, well, not inspirational, but like so amazing just taking the environment of that game. And I
Oh,
really
yeah.
enjoyed it. I do have to say,
Yeah.
the Infamous Second Son was not my favorite Infamous, personally. I personally really loved 2. That storyline and playstyle as it goes. I feel like they kind of... I liked the fact that they gave us now the new... what was his name again?
Cole.
Delson?
Oh.
Oh, no, yeah, Cole. But, like, whatever Second Son's guy's name. Like, I like the fact that they gave us a new guy to look at, but I loved Cole's storyline, and it changed... like, you only had the one power, you were only electricity the whole time, but it was so... It was so much more of, like, a thought-through story in my mind than
Right.
Second Son's story.
Okay, that's fair. Honestly, again, I haven't played the other one, so I don't really know. But if you're listening to this and stuff like that, check it out. Check out Infamous Second Son, and I believe they did they do a remake of the other Infamous games? I can't remember if they did.
I thought they made a collection bundle, but that might be prototype I'm thinking about.
If not, check out because I know PlayStation has PS,
PS
Now.
Now. I know it's on PS
yeah.
Now.
You can play it through there. That's another thing that came out with PS4, not right when it came out, but a couple years after. Is it allowed you to use backwards compatibility, and they brought up older games to the PS4 so you can play. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but just as an idea, if you're interested in the Infamous games, figure out for yourself whether you liked Infamous 2 more or if you liked Infamous Second Son. Last thing I'm going to mention about Second Son, because it ties into the next couple of games that we're actually going to be talking about, is the karma system. Now, it's a system that really... It wasn't revolutionary in Second Son, because it was used before in other games, but to me, it was one of the ones that used it the most. I don't want to say the most, but the effects of it were seen the most for this new generation of games.
See, I think what you're trying to say, Kelly, is that like based on if you were evil the entire game or good the entire game, it changed the outcome of the rest
Right.
of the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
And like I said, there were games like that before, but this one was the first game that I personally played on PS4. They used that kind of system for it. So it was very interesting to see if if you did all the good things and stuff like that, you would get a good ending, and if you did all the bad things, you'd get a bad ending. But it also affected the different kind of upgrades you would get for your abilities, which I thought was very interesting because it would made it almost like you had to choose what side you could go on. You couldn't get everything in the game, so it made your choices worth more. Speaking of choices, the next game we're talking about is actually Until Dawn. It's another PS4 exclusive. Came out a couple years after the console came out. I know Michael has played it. I played it. Walker, have you played it?
I've played it with Michael. We did a playthrough together.
Yeah,
Okay.
we played through it together.
Okay. It's one of my personal favorites because I loved, like I said, the choices and stuff like that. They're very heavy in Until Dawn because they make up the game itself. What they're using there is it's called the butterfly effect. So every choice you make, different characters will remember the choice you made, and it'll determine how they react to you in another part. So it's very interesting because you could get so many different endings to the game itself depending on the choices you made, and it's a horror game.
Well,
And
It's a psychological horror.
a B horror.
Yeah.
They were definitely
Whatever.
going for a B horror movie vibe with this.
see, I don't know. You had some pretty good movie stars in there, like Hayden Panettiere,
Rami
Rami Malek. Yeah, like
That's it that I know.
you had freaking Freddie Mercury in your game. I don't know if it's a B horror, but
You had
no,
the
you
man
also
that
had
portrayed
the only other.
him.
Yeah, the only other person I know.
It was Freddie Mercury, Michael.
Oh, yeah,
Why don't
yeah.
you believe that? That was Freddie Mercury
Yeah.
up on stage there.
You didn't see his mustache?
I did see
but
the
no.
mustache.
Yeah. You just gotta close your eyes and pretend it's there. But there was another person in there I recognized, but I can't remember his name. But he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He played one of the characters in it. But anyway, you had a cast of what, I think 7 of them, or 5. No,
Right,
we're
5,
more than
Michael?
5. More than 5.
We had
It's 5
Josh,
kids.
Mike, Sam, Ashley, that other girl, Emily, and there was another guy, but yeah,
Well,
There
was-
are we including Hannah in them? Because that's a whole different
Hannah
story.
and Beth, that's another two, but they're not around
including
very
them.
long.
But I think it's like 5. It's more than 5, but it's like 6 or 7, I think. But anyway, you had
Yeah,
these
it's Sam, Josh, Michael, Jessica, Ashley, Christopher, Emily, Matt.
Jessica,
Jessica. That's the one I was
Matt.
thinking.
So
of.
yeah,
I hated Emily though.
total.
She was the one I did not like. But anyway,
I
what?
yeah. Go ahead.
No. Anyway, you had this group of them coming up to a cabin that the year before. These two girls, Hannah and what was the other one's name? Beth. The two of those girls, they actually died during an accident. They fell down a hill, and they all decided to come up to the cabin a year later in remembrance of her, but also to support their brother who is there as well. And so throughout the whole game, there are different things going about. I don't want to go too in depth with it because I don't want to ruin the surprise of the story and stuff like that. Because again, like Michael, you said, it is a B horror game. Like it could
really is.
easily be. Yeah, it could be a horror movie, and I would watch it. Like
In fact, I think I've seen that. It was on Netflix. It was a Netflix original horror movie, and it wasn't
Was it
that
really?
great, but it wasn't also that bad. No, I am lying, Walker. But the point is, it's like every B horror movie ever, and that's kind of its charm.
yeah.
Well,
and-
the only reason why I asked that is because there are games that have like made Netflix movies like that. Like if you the Minecraft fucking story, like the Telltale, they
Yes.
have a Netflix version.
Yeah.
that you can
Yes.
play.
Yeah, that's different. But anyway, But yeah, and the best part about it is every time you play it, you could end up with a different ending.
Oh, you will.
This isn't.
I think it's almost impossible to get the same ending twice.
Yeah, because with all the different choices you have, the different things you can find, there are these totems all throughout the map. Those things, actually, if you pick them up, they give you hints on what to do and what not to do to help the characters survive. So throughout the game, you can actually end up having all of them die, or you can actually get an ending where they all live, or select of them die and everything like that. It all just depends on the choices you make, and that's why it's one of my favorite games, because there's so many different things to it and stuff. You could have a choice and it's like, oh, I don't know what I should do. Like, if I go this way, will they die? If I go this way, will the other person die? The one thing I will say is, if you do check it out, which I think you should, it was the free PlayStation game for a month, so you might actually have it if you picked it up. If not, it's fairly cheap. I do recommend picking it up because it's a fun game. If you have a couple friends over, it's kind of neat because you can almost watch it as a horror movie, I think. So it's a very interesting game to check out. One of the things that it implemented the most, too, I think, is it actually utilized one of the big selling points of the PS4, which was the motion control for the controller. Because if you moved your controller, it could end up killing you or getting something wrong. Michael, I know you and I had a hard fucking time with that.
Yes.
I hated
because during those moments, the controller would actually vibrate, so you could not just set it down on a table and let the controller do the work for you. You did actually have to hold it yourself.
Yeah.
So, another layer of difficulty to it.
And
and even if you hold it as still as possible, it would maybe twitch or just go enough where it would fail it, and it was such a pain.
Yeah, and of course it was always in a moment of, like, adrenaline, so, like, your body, you might be feeling, like, levels of, like, shaking and whatnot and stuff like that, so it's just trying to, like, hold your nerves while your character's not dying and whatnot.
Right. But yeah, that was one of the biggest things with that game, so I thought it was really interesting that it sort of utilized that, and I don't think any other PS4 game, except for maybe Infamous Second Son, because they had the whole thing with the spray can, you would use the controller almost like a spray can to attack buildings and everything like that. But that was one of the only games that really utilized that feature, because I don't think it was very popular, but it was an interesting thing to use. But yeah, again, I would definitely check it out. The choices you make through it and stuff like that, it really makes you think. It's very entertaining, because then, like I said, every time you play it, you'll end up with a different ending. So it's interesting. Final thoughts on just that? Because I think, Walker, you wanted to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say the only other game I've seen that does the motion control since then is probably Dreams.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
that's it.
fairly recent.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly can't remember another game that has motion controls like that.
Yeah, because I just don't think many... Because the only ones that really would have been able to use it were PS4 exclusives.
Yeah.
Because other, like Xbox, and you obviously couldn't do it on PC. But, again, yeah, like I said, check it out. Next game we're talking about is actually a more recent game, and it's a game that we play an awful lot, I think. I know you two do. It's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
Again, this is a game that was long awaited. Yeah, just need a little money, but it was a long awaited sequel of the first game. It's set in the Wild Wild West.
It's the not so Wild West.
Well, it's the
No,
not so wild, not so west.
Yeah.
See,
We're not
guys,
actually in the West at all.
In fact,
you guys ruined my joke, because I was gonna be like, it's set in the Wild Wild West, only Will Smith isn't in it. But fuck you guys, you ruined my joke. Anyway,
he's not.
Ours is better. Ours was better.
I didn't know there was a joke there. But anyway, this is another game that sort of utilized that. I'm gonna just call it karma system, because I don't know a better word for it.
Honor system.
Honor system.
for that,
That's
yeah.
what it's called.
Yes.
Yes. It depending on the deeds you did during the game and stuff, you could be very honorable, or you could be seen as a bad guy in it, and it really just depended on like if you would rob and kill people, or if you helped people out. The more good things you did, the better. More on the because it will show a bar at the bottom with everything you do, either all white or all red. The more good things you did, you'd be more towards the white end. Did more bad things, be towards the red end.
Now that doesn't really change anything in the gameplay of Red Dead. It's more just like, will people find you threatening when you walk into town, or will
Right.
they welcome you with open arms and offer you free drinks, like that kind of stuff.
Right, but it still affects the game to a point. It doesn't affect it as much as, say, Infamous did. Because Infamous, if you did bad things in it, the people would hate you on the streets, and they would like literally yell at you and tell you to get out of the city and stuff like that if you were evil. But if you're good, they'd like love you and stuff like that. So, and it would affect the ending that you got on that game. Didn't affect the ending for Red Dead here. Again, not going to spoil it, but it's he doesn't ride off into the sunset all happy. But I actually
If anyone's played Red Dead 1, Red Dead 2 is a prequel, so...
right, yeah. It's set what, 10
Red
years
Dead Redemption 2 is set in 1899. Red Dead Redemption
Yeah.
1 is set in, I believe, 1911.
Yeah, so about 10 or so years. Yeah. Yeah, 12 years actually. Yeah, 12 years. I can't do math. But yeah, it's at 12 years before the first game, and it's a huge map. Like this is also by the same people that made GTA. So they kind of had the experience of how to make a game from GTA, obviously. But that also helped them because this game also came out with an online version, Red Dead Online. Like, it's set up very much like the GTA Online version. There are some obvious differences, like it takes you forever to ride around on horseback, because horses are slower than a
You have a
Lamborghini.
shitty horse, but yeah.
Yeah.
Horses are slower than my flying DeLorean
Yeah.
and my rocket
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Exactly. Sadly, but it's still very entertaining. Because again, it's like a western. I love the story for it because, again, similar to like I was saying with Until Dawn, like it plays like a movie and stuff like that. Again, this one kind of does as well. Same thing like I said with GTA, with it feeling like a movie. This one definitely does too, and I loved it because during the cutscenes they would even do the whole classic. They'd have the black bars like above and below them, so
Yeah.
it made it feel like one of those classic Western movies.
it really
I
made you
loved that.
Feel like you're just watching a really well put together movie.
Oh yeah, and it made it feel so much better, and it made you feel so much more invested in the characters because you got to see them and everything with it.
Just need some money.
Yeah, exactly. That is line said by Dutch. He always has a plan. He just needs a little bit of money, so you got to trust him on stuff. So remember, if you play Red Dead Redemption 2, always
Don't give
trust
Dutch money.
Dutch.
Yep.
Okay.
Dutch
We have
will
some
show you the way.
Yeah, Dutch will show you the way.
You just need to have a little faith
Yeah,
And money.
and money. And he has
Yeah.
a plan. Again.
exactly.
Have a little faith, Arthur.
All right, good. That's all I got on Red Dead. Anything else I'm missing that you want to bring up about it?
We can probably talk about the online. Just like the classes we can do, the roles, that kind of stuff, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, like similar to GTA. I'll bring this up as sort of comparison then. GTA Online, you could do like biker club. You could build your own company, have your own yacht, kind of stuff like that. Obviously, you can't have that kind of stuff in the West.
What do
in
you say?
the
I can't have my
1800s.
big ass fucking yacht with fucking champagne helicopters on it?
No.
This game is bullshit.
But you can have build your own moonshine business.
Alright, I'm
You
back.
can Yeah, there you go. You can also become a bounty hunter. There are different missions to do in both online versions of GTA and Red Dead. It's always changing too. They're always adding stuff to it, and I'm sure just like GTA, even when PS5 comes out, I don't know if they'll come out with a PS5 version of Red Dead because, yeah, because it'll be backwards compatible. That's right. But still, I'm pretty sure they'll probably end up doing updates to it just like GTA. I'm sure they'll be doing updates to GTA even through PS5 as well. So, it's a game if you definitely want to check out. You'll be playing it for years. There's really always stuff to do, and like we find ourselves, we're playing Red Dead right now. We might not play it for a month or so, and then we'll come back to it because there's more stuff to do. Like I said, there's always things to do. They're always adding things to it as well, so it'll keep you invested, and it's a good game to check out.
I'm just now realizing the only roles Kelly knows about is the moonshine.
Moonshiner.
I said bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter.
Oh, did you?
Is the
Yeah.
collector.
What's the
a
other
trader.
one? Collector and trader.
Oh, and there's two more on the way.
Yes.
That they've teased. It's the lawman and the
The
photographer.
photographer.
Ooh. I don't know about the photographer. Lawman sounds cool.
Alright, so they're all additions. So like, Moonshiner is an addition off of Trader. Like you have to do the missions of Trader in order to unlock being able to be a Moonshiner.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Bounty Hunter's in the same way. Bounty Hunter will turn into Lawman.
Again, you guys played this game more than I do, so that's why I'm glad you're here.
Collector will turn into Photographer, which does like the animal pictures and that kind of stuff, and more scenic things, and yeah.
So
More
there's
about
always something
exploration.
for everyone. Like whether you want to go kill people, or you want to make moonshine, or you want to take pictures of animals. There's something for everyone. Or just throw people in the river and ask ask them if you want to see a magic trick.
And now presenting the magic and mystical Houdini, trying to escape the river of death. Is that good enough, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't quit your day job.
All right. What day job?
Exactly. Oh fuck! You killed. Hey, that's not even fair. Trick, Walker. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, shut up. Did
Yeah,
you set up a cutaway gag? Did you just set up a fucking cutaway?
Yep, I got you.
God fucking damn it.
Hope you still have that footage, bitch. Alright. Anyway, we're moving on now. Next game we're talking about is, a lot of these are some of my favorites, but this one is definitely one of my favorites, in recent years that I played just because it was so much fun, and it's one of my favorite heroes. It was Spider-Man. It was a PS4 exclusive made by Insomniac. It came out, and I know Walker, you played it, I played it. Michael, you haven't, right? Or have you?
Never touched it.
Should. It's a good game.
It's obviously set in New York City, home of Spider-Man. The game itself is about him after college. He has his own apartment. He's just trying to make it through normal life while also balancing being a superhero on the side. And it's sort of the whole game itself. It deals with that conflict of stuff he has to sacrifice to be the hero. And it showed. I liked it because it showed him more as an adult than I think I've seen in movies and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
So when they did the development for it, stuff like that, I was working for GameStop when they announced it and started talking about it, stuff like that. They brought up the fact that, like, all right, everyone knows the backstory to Spider-Man. Obviously, everyone knows it, so we're not going to give you any of that garbage. It's 8 years after he got bit. He's already known his powers. He knows what he's doing, how to get better at it, and, like, he's not an idiot about it. And, like, so you skip over all of that. Oh, what am I doing? I'm climbing a wall bullshit.
Come on, Yuri. I've been waiting 8 years.
right. But yeah, no, and it was the first game since I think Spider-Man 2 that it was a good Spider-Man game. Like I said, last one was Spider-Man 2, which was on PS3, but that was
Well, the last one was
last good one.
Oh, well, last good one in Spider-Man 2 is PS2.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
right.
there
I thought it
were
was
about
PS3.
8 other Spider-Man games, and
Yeah,
they were decent, but they had their flaws, mostly in web mechanics.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things about it, and that was part of the reason why I loved it, because one of my favorite things I would do in this game is just swing around. Like there could be a mission saying, oh, somebody's dying on in Times Square. It's like, all right, I'll be there in like an hour. I'm just swinging around because it's so much fun. But also too, this was another thing. Even though this was later in the generation of the PS4, they still it looked so good. Like that New York City skyline looked amazing. Again, one of the things I would do is I would literally just go to some of the highest points in the city and just look around, like at sunset at night or whatever time it was, and it looked amazing. And you had different kind of costumes you could use. You had like the Iron Spider from, say, like Infinity War and the Avengers movies. You had that version of it, but you also had the comic version of Iron Spider. You also had other different versions, like the Secret Wars version. There was a lot of stuff involved in it that was it was very well made to me. And like I said, like the web mechanics were very good. The storyline itself was very interesting, and I thought it was very unique because, Walker, like you said, it was something different that people hadn't seen before. It was interesting.
So it was a spin on Sinister Six, but like with the invention of
Yeah.
Mr. Negative.
Right, a new villain.
He never existed before. He was created for the game, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So like it created these new things, but also still used some of the old things at the same time. So it was a very interesting game overall, and I really liked it.
Yuri!
Okay. Anyway, we're still going on. There's also, they came out with DLCs for it where you had villains like Hammerhead, Silver Sable, I was blanking on the name, and Black Cat. Like it was very interesting. Before we move on, though, Walker, is there anything you want to mention about the Spider-Man game? Because I know Spider-Man is one of your favorite heroes, so I know you played it a lot. We both beat the game, but
Yeah. Well, I went hardcore all at once. I did the hard mode, then went back and started doing the hero mode. Yeah, going through it, it's really good because I grew up with the comics and stuff like that. Like, Spider-Man's always my favorite superhero in general. So seeing it all, like, the developers really did a good job. Like, yeah, the storyline's a little different, but their backstories are all still there. You can look up any of the villains, stuff like that, in your character bio descriptions, and they have their full descriptions and where they came from, what they were first seen in, all that kind of stuff. So they did very well in connecting it to the actual real life thing. The one thing that kind of upsets me though with the game, because the game did release before we lost Stan Lee in this world, please, in memoriam Stan Lee real quick.
yeah.
But the game did come out before he had passed, but in previous games they allowed you to play as Stan Lee.
Oh, really? I didn't know
For
that.
Spider-Man games, yes, and it was one of the best things because it would be him doing quip lines and yelling at villains like, "I drew you!" Like, and the whole thing left and right. And so, it's one thing that they didn't do with this new game that's kind of upsetting to me. Like, I was expecting the 100% skin to be that instead of naked Spider-Man.
Well, part of the reason why they didn't, they may not have done that is, were the other games made by Insomniac?
No, but they're still pushed by Sony. So I mean, like,
that's true.
That's like a Sony trademark with that game, was to be able to play as Stan Lee, like especially in like Amazing with Spider-Man 2, like the other quote-unquote best game of that genre.
Right.
Like, that was the best thing, is once you beat the game, you got Stan Lee.
Okay.
So you could just play through it.
At least there is a Stan Lee cameo in the game itself, though.
Yes,
so
there
is.
There's
in
always
there. Yeah. But yeah. Overall, I really like the game. Sometimes I'll pull it up literally just to web sling or do a DLC extra mission that I haven't done yet or something. One of the one thing I will say before we move on, one of the things I hated were all the screwball missions.
See, Screwball was an interesting.
I hated her.
Like, yeah. All right, the missions weren't the greatest. I'll give you that, but they didn't bring in Mysterio into this.
No, and that was one thing. They brought in someone different.
Mysterio played that role in a lot of those, where it was like oh, I'm here now. Come find me. You get there, you're out.
Right.
And so it's that kind of they just changed it up a little bit. And it's like Mysterio is my second favorite like villain of Spider-Man, other like besides Venom. But which I'm sad we don't. Well, they teased it. They teased it.
Oh yeah.
They better
They
better pay forward Spider-Man 2.
They're working on a Spider-Man 2. I know that. Insomniac is.
They teased it, but they teased Harry as Venom, and I'm very upset with that.
They'll figure it out somehow, or they'll do something with it.
They'll make it work.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, that was a spoiler, but I gotta talk about that. So
I mean, it's not really it's not a spoiler.
it's the end
I'm
credit
sure.
scene. So
Well, now it's a spoiler. You didn't say when it was mentioned, but now you did.
it's the end credits.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks. Walker spoils everything. But no. Overall, like I said, the game is good. They're working on a new one. Hopefully, they carry on with what they did in the first game. Reason why I talked about this next game we're actually talking about is a game I think is sort of we can debate about this a little bit, but it's sort of allowed this game to really happen to a degree. I think it still would have happened no matter what, but I don't think it would have been as popular without the Batman Arkham games. Games like Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and then the last one, which was for PS4, Arkham Knight.
So
Arkham Origins,
the three Batman games, you can skip Origin. Don't
yeah, you can skip Origins. I played it and I hated it because it took me a year to beat Deathstroke. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Wait, can we just
You didn't beat
talk about the
Deathstroke.
fact that you had been struggling to beat Deathstroke for how long? I get in there, never playing this game before, and I beat him on my first try.
so the
I just-
Batman Arkham games
I
were
just want
made
people
by
to know about
Rocksteady. I don't want to talk about it, but they were developed by Rocksteady, and before they came out, there really weren't many superhero games other than the Spider-Man games, which were hit or miss. Like we said, the last good one before the most recent one was Spider-Man 2, back all the way in the PS2 era. So, but till then, you really didn't have a good superhero game, and Arkham Asylum was the first one that sort of blew everyone out of the water because it showed people that you could make a very good game. First one is it's a basic kind of system. They Batman captured Joker, takes him to Arkham Asylum. He breaks out. He controls the entire asylum, and then Batman has to battle through the different inmates to get to Joker. That's sort of a very, very dumbed down version of the story because I want to talk about all three of them in some way. So I do recommend checking it out. They recently came out with Batman Return to Arkham for PS4, which is both Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
It's been about 3 years, but yeah.
Yeah, still in the second half of the PS4 generation, they came out with it, so you can actually pick it up and play it. I definitely recommend it. The Batman Arkham series is my favorite game, other than Jack and Daxter, but that's all in PS2, and we can talk about that later. But anyway, Arkham City is a similar setup. Joker's still in it, only this time they decided to section off a part of Gotham City and label that as Arkham City, where they would have inmates and everyone living there rather than in just one tiny asylum. And Batman goes in there to find Joker and also find a cure because Joker is dying in the game. So it's a whole different kind of dynamic. It's a similar dynamic, but it's also different at the same time. And then I'm just going to skip over Origins because Origins is sort of the same as the first two because Joker is the main villain in Origins as well. Only it's a prequel to this. It's more or less the early years of Batman. And again, like, beside the whole point that I couldn't beat Deathstroke for a while, and when I finally was and I beat the game, it just wasn't as good.
Sorry. When Michael beat it for you.
No, I finally beat him myself. I just had to make it on the easy setting.
Yeah. You had to dumb it down.
Oh yeah, exactly. But overall it just wasn't as good as the other ones, and it just that if you want to check it out, I go for it. But
Don't.
it's one, yeah, to me it's one you could skip. And then the last installment of the Arkham series was Arkham Knight, which came out in
Well, second to
20.
last.
What do you mean?
Don't forget Arkham VR.
Oh yeah, Arkham VR is came out as well, but that was more or less. I'm not counting that one because that was more or less an experience kind of game. It was tied to Arkham Knight.
It was actually a game. It was supposed to be before Arkham Knight. It's like the in between step teasing Arkham Knight.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that one as much, but
I played it. It's all right. It was like a 30.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-minute game.
oh, okay. But anyway, it sort of Arkham Knight wraps up the whole Arkham series in a way, the story itself. That one, the main villain is actually Scarecrow, and in it, Gotham City is evacuated, and there's this new villain called the Arkham Knight in there, and Batman has to figure out who he is, and he has to go after Scarecrow.
It's totally not the guy you think it is the whole game.
Again, Walker spoils everything, but yes, it is. But yeah, overall, it's a very simple setup, but it was done very well because similar to one of the first things I'll talk about is one of the big things from Spider-Man that everyone liked was the web slinging function, and it's kind of ironic. What they had a similar system for that in Batman was how he glided around the city. They literally did whole programs and everything on how his cape would react to the wind and everything for the physics of it and how he would glide around the city. So they put a lot of work into that to make it feel as real as possible. So it made you feel like you were Batman. Just like you felt like you were Spider-Man in that game, you could really feel like you were Batman in the Arkham games. And that's part of the reason why I liked it. Batman isn't my favorite DC hero, but he's definitely one of my favorites, and the game itself was so well made, and they had so many different villains in it. They had the main ones like Joker, Penguin, Two-Face. They even had his love interest Catwoman, and I like this because they made her more of the love interest than a villain herself. So check out Arkham City to figure out what I'm talking about. Again, if you haven't played them, I definitely recommend them because, like I was saying, to me at least, they sort of showed everyone that you could make a superhero game and make it well, and it sort of encouraged other people to follow in suit. Like Insomniac has now made Spider-Man. Someone, I believe it may be, I can't remember who's making it, but there's a Avengers game in the works right now, and a lot of
projects.
yeah, people are excited for that.
Comes out in June.
Yeah. A lot of these games I don't believe would have happened, or they wouldn't be as popular. Like, people wouldn't be as interested in them if it weren't for the Arkham games, because again, they showed you that you can make a game very well. What do you guys think?
A good superhero game that's also a good game is
Yeah.
what the Arkham series did.
Right, and one thing actually before I open it up to you guys.
Sorry, I don't want to say that wrong. Avenger Project releases September 4th.
I'll say I thought I got pushed back, but I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
I did. I just forgot that.
Yeah, no, you're good. One of the things I know, Michael, you played Shadow of Mordor.
Yep. Played a lot
that-
of that.
Yeah, that game was actually made by the same people who made the Arkham series, and one of the most popular things that I haven't mentioned yet about those games was the fighting system that they used in it. Similar system that was actually used in Spider-Man as well for Insomniac, but it's definitely a game system that they use in Shadows of Mordor as well. And it's a very easy system, and it's very fun. Feels very fluid to use. That was that was one of the biggest reasons I think why a lot of people liked it. It's one of the reasons why I loved the games, because it just felt so fun to just go around and beat people up.
Yeah, if you're good, it makes you feel very powerful.
Oh yeah.
If you're bad, you just
And if
mash
you're bad,
buttons.
you mash
Still
buttons
win.
and you will probably still win.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't say that about Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor, but Arkham series,
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely, yeah. But again, it's like they introduced this new system that I think a lot of games use nowadays, whether it's by Rocksteady or another game developer. It's a system that I think it's very simplistic, but you can use it in different ways, and I think a lot of other games are using that nowadays. That's why, that's why I said without the Arkham games, I don't think the other, whether PS4 exclusives or just games in general, I don't think they would have had. I don't want to say they wouldn't have been as good, but they wouldn't have been made as the way they were if it wasn't for the Arkham games. They would have been. They could have been completely different. Any last thoughts before we move on to the next game?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
never really played them, so
Yeah,
Okay.
see, I haven't played the more recent ones, so.
That was more or less my TED talk because again, those were like some of my favorite games. So I know that was a huge. That was me just pretty much word vomiting.
that was Kelly jerking off all over the Arkham series.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't have a camera set up, so you're definitely welcome. Next game we're talking about is it's actually
That's
two
right, change
games.
the
Yeah,
subject.
there you go. They're games that came out before and they put them into packages. We're talking about Crash Bandicoot and the Spyro games that came out for PS4.
Yes.
The one that I played, was Crash Bandicoot, which had the original 3 games tied into one.
Yep, Spyro is done the exact same way. It's
Yep,
got all
first
3 of the
three
first
games.
games.
Yep.
Right. Now, originally, we're just gonna touch on this and then move on. I think because I think everyone knows, like if you know about PS4 or just PlayStation, I mean, you've at least heard about Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. The only other game that I think is as popular as them, that's mainly tied to PlayStation, are probably games like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter.
Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, like Jak and Daxter is my favorite game of all time, the first one. But like those styles of games, it was really nice to see that they made a remake for PS4, and I believe they did make one for Jak and Daxter. I know they did for PS3, and then they moved it up.
Yes, they moved over the PS3 remake to PS4.
Yeah, because it had the original 3 within one. So those are games I think a lot of people, if you are around our age or something, you played at some point during your childhood or something. If not, definitely check them out because they're easy games. Crash Bandicoot, I'm awful at the game.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just make sure if you are playing it again, be ready for the rage fest. Because when you were a kid, you were okay with restarting the game because you ran out of lives. When you're an adult, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? I gotta go back 3 worlds and restart the whole fucking game over? God fucking damn it.
Yeah, as an adult, you can actually swear and get away with it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, depends on where you are. But anyway,
Church, best time to do it.
sure. Yeah, but yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, definitely check those out. Not much to really say about those because again, a lot of people know them. Crash Bandicoot was one of the first titles to come out on PlayStation, like the very first PlayStation. So everyone knows that game.
I mean, Crash Bandicoot is the Mario for Sony, essentially.
Yeah, like he's not used nowadays as a spokesperson for it, but when PlayStation first came out, they marketed around Crash. Walker, you want to talk about it? Never mind.
No, I can.
Great
It's just
segue.
that was so seamless segue. It's, this is not my problem anymore.
Anyway, let's move on. Cut that part out. Next game we're talking about is Kingdom Hearts 3, which was which was a long-awaited sequel for the Kingdom Hearts series. Last game, Walker, you know more than me. When was the last Kingdom Hearts that came out? What was last?
Well, are we ignoring the?
We're ignoring like the
1.5 and
0.5s, yes, because those were in betweens, which weren't bad, but I don't believe they were like full on games.
Well, they were. Each one added its own, like, they added a new game with the bundles. I'm just trying to actually look up the release date for Dream Drop.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's move on. Because it doesn't really matter. Anyway, it was a long time, to wait, for this new game, and a lot of people loved it.
It's a very long thing. It was 20 years in the making, because Kingdom Hearts 3 released in 2018, very early 2019, but the first game was released in 2002.
Right.
So it was 20 years in the making to get to this point where we are now.
Yeah. And again, I believe Kingdom Hearts is exclusive, right, to PS4 or
Yes.
PlayStation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
and
the main series.
Yeah.
The other ones,
other ones
they're
are like
featured on the
there's
Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
Thinking correctly.
Yeah. Like overall they're really extremely popular, but the Kingdom Hearts series was a big selling point when it first came out for like PS2 and everything, because it was a really fun concept of having Disney characters
in a Final Fantasy type.
Yeah.
Well, it is the developers of Final Fantasy and everything like that, and it comes down to it's designed for. It is a kids and an adults game. It's designed to be an adult game that adults can play while their kids are in the room.
Yeah.
Like, if you actually look at the lore and everything like that, it's a depressing game. It's a very heart-staking game. Like, there's a lot of pressure into it. That's why most adults enjoy it. Kids are like, oh, it's colorful and cute.
Yeah, so. It's a very hard story to follow as well. Honestly, I won't describe the overall story, because one, it's still confusing for me at sometimes, but also two, I don't want Walker to talk about it for the next 3 hours, because I'm sure he could. Because you played all of them probably multiple times.
I played all of them up and down, left and right. I've done the lore digging on all of them. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's the reason why I have a heartless tattoo, Kelly.
Yeah, I played the second one, and I played the newest one, the Kingdom Hearts 3. So for the third one at least, it's again, you have these different worlds. You have you have Frozen, Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Pirates of the Caribbean.
Essentially, insert Disney movie here, Island.
Yeah, you've got all of them. You've got like Tangled, and you've got a whole mess of them, and you get to go around and defeat evil, and try to figure out the story behind that. Again, if you really are interested in the story of it, I would search up Kingdom Hearts story. Someone else would probably be better at explaining it, and you can do it on your own time.
Look up a lore video. We don't have the time.
Yeah, we really don't. This is already going longer than I thought.
Likes, then maybe I'll do a video on that. But
yeah, actually, why not?
All right, this video gets 4 likes. We will release a Kingdom Hearts lore video.
Yeah. No, if this
if you get 4 likes,
if we get 4 likes,
if this episode gets 40 likes, we might do a playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 3. Let's say that.
I'd be down for that.
All right. Anyway, like I said, I would definitely check it out. It is a really good game. I'm on the fence of saying it's one of my favorites, just because, well, I do have a decent amount of favorites. I don't know if I would pick this over some of the other ones I've said were my favorites here.
I would definitely say it's my favorite series, not my favorite game.
Yeah, but overall it's
a good series.
Yeah, it's that, and plus it's still a really good game. So if you want, check it out. Again, it only recently came out, and they actually recently added a DLC to it, so there's more to the story now as well.
I didn't play that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it came out, I think, at the January or something, a couple months ago. I think.
Played it. I thought you meant like just a new one, like a new one.
Oh no, I don't think so, at least. But yeah, and there's so many different things to do in it as well, similar to like Batman, Spider-Man, a couple of the other ones. Like, there's a million side missions to do. There's different things you can collect as well. One of the things I'm trying to do now is so the main character Sora, he uses key weapons called keyblades, and you can get different ones themed to different worlds. Like there's one for Monsters Inc. There's even a Winnie the Pooh one, which is honestly one of my favorites.
It's the best one.
It really is.
Not Oblivion's the best, but or Ultimate Weapon, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I was getting at. Is Ultimate Weapon, you have to collect all these things and do these different challenges to even collect those. So
Usually,
it kind of
by the time
forces
you
you to
beat the
play
game,
the whole
you get
game. Exactly. So it's like there's so many different things to do for it. Check it out if you have the time. That's it for like the solo games that we're kind of recognizing here. Other games that came out that were PS4 exclusives over the last 7 years were the Last of Us series, both 1 and 2, Uncharted. Recently, not recently, but they ended the series with Uncharted 4, God of War. Yeah, Michael?
I was about to point out also Lost Legacies, a standalone DLC featuring some of the characters from Uncharted 4.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
gotcha. I didn't know about that one. Thank you. They had God of War, Bloodborne, which was by the same people that made Dark Souls.
From Software.
Yeah. Detroit Become Human.
Yep.
Another one similar to like games like Until Dawn and stuff. It was
Basically,
really reliant on the.
It
Yeah,
was
go ahead.
basically just an interactive movie.
Yeah.
Nice experience, but
'Cause-
not much gameplay.
Right. No, but it's something like the Telltale games, like Batman Telltale Story and other ones like that.
Some of those are really good.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to do. I would definitely check it out because again, it's very interesting to see the different kind of outcomes you can get out of it as well. And then the last one was Ratchet and Clank. There were other ones, but those were some of the highlights that I thought of over that were the most popular from the last 7 years. Uncharted out of that list is probably one of my favorites, just because I play ironically, the first Uncharted game I ever played was Uncharted 3, but then I went back and played the first two, and then I haven't played Uncharted 4 yet. Michael, I know you have. Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really expands on, I guess, the Uncharted universe or timeline. There's a bit of like prequel in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good game. You should play it,
All
Kelly.
right. Yeah. I'll
In
check
fact,
it out.
Play it right now. If this video
all right.
gets 1 like, Kelly will do a playthrough of Uncharted 4.
Ooh, putting a lot of pressure
Like-
on me.
Wait, is that
like.
including you?
It can't be from us. It
Is
can't
that
be from
including
us.
You because
It can't be from us. I mean, I'm gonna play Uncharted no matter what anyway. But to do a playthrough, it can't be from us. But anyway, Last of Us is another series. I started playing the first one. I haven't beat it yet, but it's a very fun game.
Well, the second one's not out, Kelly, so you've just
yeah,
played
it
The
isn't.
Last of Us.
Yeah. Why was I thinking the second one already came out? I don't. Anyway, it is. It's coming out soon, I believe. But anyway, I'm gonna move on for
Hopefully.
time's sake. This next group of games, I think we'd be kind of dumb to not really talk about at least a little bit. Are games that came out like Fortnite, all the different Call of Duties, because everyone has at least heard of Call of Duty, whether you like them or not. Like, over the last 7 years, there's been some of the highlights for me have been like Black Ops 3, World War II, which was very surprising. A lot of people wanted it to go back to older guns and like more ground war stuff, and it ended up going very well. And then like the most recent one, which is Modern Warfare, that one's very good as well. I enjoy it. Multiplayer I love, but it also has Warzone, which is battle royale, similar to like I said right before it, which is Fortnite. That game exploded when they made a battle royale mode for it. It became extremely popular, and that whole genre itself, I think, defines whether you like it or not, it sort of defines the second half, I think, of the PS4 generation because of how popular Fortnite was, and then Apex Legends came out as well to sort of get on the hype train of it. And for a while, it even was beating Fortnite. And then
Well,
you also have what? Yeah,
it's games like that. Games like that will always come in and out, just because unless they stay updated enough, unless they do things upbeat and keep everyone interested, they will lose focus, and that's the downside
Right.
to that whole thing. That's why Fortnite's been in and out of people's lives. PUBG has never really
That's
been
the one thing-
updated in a long time, so no one talks about PUBG anymore.
that's what I was gonna get to. Is Fortnite? I still argue is still fairly popular. It's not as popular as it was when it first came out, but it's still up there. It's still in, I believe, the top 10 most watched games on Twitch. Games like PUBG, it's not updated as much, so that game kind of sort of fell by the wayside. It's still around. I'm sure that it still has a player base, but it's nowhere near as popular as even Apex is, I believe. Apex, again, gets updated frequently as well. Same thing with Fortnite. They do different seasons as well, so there's stuff to do in it. So it keeps people occupied in it as well. But, whether you like them or not, we'd be kind of dumb to not mention them because they were very popular. Like recently, Fortnite did the Travis Scott concert in game, which I actually went to. It was very interesting to see because I've never done a concert through a video game before. Like, it was very weird. It was a whole other experience. The first one they did was with Marshmello, and that one I saw videos of, and that one was like wasn't as bad. Wasn't that bad, but the Travis Scott one I thought was very good, and I like Travis Scott. I like his music, so it was interesting to listen to. I want to move on. Another game that would be kind of dumb to not talk about is Overwatch, because Overwatch is a game by Blizzard. It's a first-person shooter, but it's very popular. I still like the game. I play it every once in a while. You have these different characters and everything like that, and it kind of mixed first FPS and MOBA together, and so it wasn't the first ever game to do so, but it's one of the most popular ones right now that's still around, and they're actually coming out with Overwatch 2.
Yeah, a big thing that kind of exploded from games like Overwatch and maybe Siege is the esports in the past couple of years have really blown
Yeah.
up as well from certain games. Like Fortnite now is an esport. Like Rocket
Yeah.
League Siege still is an esport now, and it's nice to finally see recognition from that. I know it's kind of a little off topic, but just since we're like
No, that's
talking
fine.
about these kinds of games that have them, I'm just gonna mention it.
Yeah.
It's nice to see recognition like that in our gaming platforms, which everyone doesn't think of anything that we do is important ever, but it's cool, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's entertainment everywhere for it, and it's kind of interesting to see a whole market come up out of these video games and stuff like that. And again, like Overwatch and these other ones that we just mentioned, like COD and Fortnite and these other battle royales, they're not. Yeah, and like even Rocket League as well. They're not PlayStation exclusives, but still, like we play them on PlayStation, so that I feel like we'd be kind of dumb to not mention them. Other things, I'm just trying to wrap it up here a little bit because I think we are getting a little long. But other two games I want to talk about, I'll actually let Michael talk about because he's the one I think he's played the most out of both of them. Walker, I know you said you've played one of them. Is Metal Gear Solid 5 and Witcher 3. Michael, if you want to talk about them just real quick.
Oh, you want me to talk about them quick, huh?
Mike
I know
went
it's
a
a
whole segment
challenge.
here. This is now a
Alright.
second video.
Metal Gear Solid 5 takes the already very convoluted Metal Gear storyline and makes it even more convoluted and weird, but also
Yeah.
wraps some things up that didn't make sense before. And it's good, and that's it. Alright, there you go.
No, Michael, you can't
Do you
talk
recommend
about that game.
it?
You can't talk about
Yes.
that game without talking about blaring music from the fucking helicopter as you go and infiltrate a base.
Oh yeah, and you can blare music from a helicopter as you shoot down a military base. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yes, I would recommend, even if you haven't played any of the other Metal Gear games, it's still just, pretty fun.
Yeah. It's a good one.
The Witcher 3, just play The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to tell you that.
Yeah,
I still need
especially
to play
since a lot. Oh,
Go on the internet, and you'll just see everyone loves it, and there's a reason.
yeah, and there, especially if you watch the Witcher series on Netflix, that game is not directly that game is what the series is based off of, but that story is what the series is based
Well,
off of.
the books,
So I would definitely
the
check it out.
games.
Yeah. Right, but the look and stuff from the game is what I think they get
Yeah.
based the series off of, like Geralt, because he looks a lot like he does in the games. Any other games I'm forgetting that you want to just put a name drop in that I may have missed?
I think we got some of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit on all
For
the
gaming-wise.
really big exclusives.
One I will say that I think was a big deal, I think for us a little bit, was when they actually brought Minecraft over to PlayStation. I know they brought it over to PS3 first, but I don't think it came out on PS4 right away though.
No,
I may be wrong on that.
I don't
Honestly,
think it
don't
came out
remember.
right away, but
Yeah.
we knew it was
when
going
they
to
brought
happen
it out,
again.
yeah, and they're still updating it, and like Minecraft is a game that everyone plays at some point
Exactly.
or another. It's a
Mostly-
simple game, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, mostly from the fact that if there's a new platform of any sort, Minecraft is going to be on it.
Oh, exactly.
You name any platform where you can do anything, and you can play Minecraft
Nokia,
on it.
Nokia phones.
No, Minecraft,
There's-
throw Minecraft on it.
Yep. And there's Minecraft for it. I almost
Make it
guarantee.
happen. And
Yeah. Anything you expected that didn't happen, and what I mean by that is there anything that you expected there to be on the PS4, like as a function or a game maybe that they talked about but then never happened that you just never saw?
Nothing immediately. Like, I know when the PS4 first released, one of the big things that everyone was complaining about was the storage space for it, but then they released I think it was update something point something point something, but that allowed you to plug in external hard drives and stuff like that, and it gave you the ability to actually do things with it.
Right.
One of the more upsetting moments of PlayStation, though, was the PSVR in my mind. Like, I had it when I worked for GameStop. I got it. It was great. It was a good, like, they partnered up with Oculus and all this kind of stuff, so it was a good functioning VR, but there just were no games for it.
Yeah.
And then even now, if we were to look, yeah, there's some games for it, but most of them are already existing games that left and right kind of, they just kind of remass and put teleporting functions in it so you can be moving around in VR. But, like, I just don't think they incorporated or made it well enough to make it so it actually followed through with what it was promised.
I think just at the time when it came out, it was so expensive that I think they based since it had low sales or not as many sales as they liked, they didn't support it as much. It's similar to like the whole PS Vita kind of scenario in the beginning. Like they pushed that like crazy, but then just people weren't as interested, so they just dropped it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna bring up the Vita. Sony just, I don't know, they just don't have really good luck with like peripherals or anything like that.
Handhelds and stuff.
Except the PSP. The
PSP was flawless.
Yeah, PSP was perfect.
Well, sorry, it had flaws, but I mean, like, it was a great fucking system.
Yeah. It had its own thing. If only they didn't. They switched over to PS Vita, but then it just. Again, there were so many different things out at the time, and they're still around today, obviously. But
I mean, a couple of the things about the Vita was like that you could like share your screen to your Vita, like so you could play your PS4 in a different room, that kind of stuff, and that was cool. But
yeah, but yeah, those were some of the things similar. I thought were kind of a letdown for the PS4. Overall, I think the console did very well. Obviously, I mean it easily beat the Xbox One, and I think this whole quote-unquote console war, I don't think that really exists as much now, just because they've started to do cross-play, which I like.
Yes, console war is over. We're all gamers.
Well,
yeah,
no.
exactly.
No, now we have to fight against Google Stadium.
Google Stadia.
The what?
Stadia.
That thing's
And
already
also,
dead.
Yeah.
No. It's growing. It's growing. Trust me. I saw sale reports.
That's because they
But-
made it free.
But again though, we're all gamers.
Yeah.
Who cares what you're
At,
playing
at,
on?
at the end of the day, we are all gamers. But if you play Xbox, you can get the fuck off this stream.
Wow. Okay. Little hurtful, but okay. We can let's set up Stadia and stuff like that for another episode. We'll talk about maybe the whole console concept of the console war for another episode. But to end, I want to bring up what Walker, what you talked about was the PSVR. That is something I was originally interested in getting as well, but then I realized how expensive it was and the games that came out with it, and I just wasn't interested.
Hear me out. I actually thought the price for it was reasonable. It was only $300. And you got to think of it this way: if a controller costs $60, and this thing, yeah, okay. So if you get the entire bundle, when I got it, it was $350. I got it from GameStop. So it was gifted to me. Sorry about that, guys, but it still was only $350 for the bundle.
My problem with it was the fact that you could get you could get the PS4 itself, like the base console. And I'm not talking about the PS4 Pro, which was its own thing. Like, I'm glad they came out with a newer version that had better graphics and everything. But the console itself was, I think, around $300 at the time you could get the PSVR. So it was just my thing is, like, if the base console itself is the same price as the VR, but you need the console to have the VR, it just didn't make sense to me. And they had a bundle. What?
I was just gonna say, like, from a price point, like, you're looking to spend like $600, $700 just to use a PSVR.
Yeah. Like, if you didn't have a PS4, they had a bundle, I think, that I saw was like $550 or something to get both. So you're paying a lot of money for it, and even if it's just something you're interested in, just the VR for it, there's so many other, not so many other, but there are other VR headsets out there that I think were better.
Just better.
I think, yeah, I don't think as it transitions into PS5, I don't think they should give up on VR. I think they should maybe come out with a more affordable version of it.
They're in production of the VR2 right now, which comes out around the same release time as the PS5. It will be wireless, is what they've teased so far.
Okay.
Also, it'll have its own graphic rendering software. Or otherwise, like, when you had the PSVR, you had it going through a junction box, essentially.
Right.
To split the graphics between your TV and your VR. Which worked very well. It was made your PS4 a little more clunkier. But the cabling was the worst part of the PSVR. I loved the way it felt. It fit over your head, had inbuilt headphones. It was great. But the cabling was ridiculous for it. It's an easy plug and play to set up, but that wire was like 5 pounds. It weighed you down. Like, you couldn't move. Like,
right.
The wireless one, it will be more expensive than the PS1 or PSVR 1. I know. But But again, if you look in comparison, like if you were to play VR on PC, right? Other than the newly added Oculus Quest, before that you had to pay $800 just for a good VR, and that was after you had to also have a PC that was powerful enough to run the software for the VR headset. So in the long run, for affordable VRs, the PSVR was great. The only $550 for a PS4 and VR headset, that's amazing in comparison to the $800 for just the headset and then still a $3,000 laptop you had to have to run it.
I don't know. Like I said, just looking at a standpoint, I still felt like my thing was it was a bit much for what they were offering for it.
I just pulled out the old GameStop sales pitch. So
yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, no, like I said, I think it was still an interesting concept. I'm glad they're still working on it. The reason why I'm bringing it up, and it's just, this is the last question for this, is what do you want to see out of PS5? And the reason why I'm tying it in with the whole VR thing is because of, would you like to see more VR stuff in PS5, or is there other stuff you'd like to see? Is there anything, whether game related, that you're excited for?
I think the one thing that everyone has been like begging for forever is the backwards compatibility, because we had it with the PS3. PS3 could play PS2 games, but not PS1 games. So like we had it. PS2 could play PS1 games. Like, it's been there. PS4 was a big letdown that we couldn't play any of our old games. The PS5 being able to be completely backwards compatible minus a few PS3 games, that's going to be revolutionary.
Yeah.
Just because that'll be the first system in a long time to do that. Like, Xbox One started doing it. Like, they had if you had gold, you could play 360 games. Only certain ones, though. And, like, it became this huge thing. Like, I remember in GameStop we had a list on our wall of what 360 games would work with the Xbox One, like, and so on and so forth. It'll be, that's one thing that I know I'm hoping for the most, making sure they're following through with that promise of backwards compatibility. Other than that, as long as it's still running in the 4K engine and it's got that Ryzen 7 processor in it, I'm excited because it's a powerful console.
Yeah. This one I'm interested because from the specs I've seen and stuff, it's running. It's as close to a PC as a console will probably be. Like, I mean, obviously as technology improves, it'll get closer. But no, that's what I mean. Like, this is the first time where the graphics card is literally a equivalent of a PC graphics card. So I'm interested to see on how well they'll utilize that. Michael?
I haven't looked into the new Xbox because I don't care. It's Microsoft. They can do whatever the hell they want. I'm not buying it.
It's similar specs. It just Xbox is a little bit better in some cases. PS4 is a little bit better in others. But
that's how it always is.
Yeah. Anyway, Michael, anything you're interested in?
For the PS5?
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting that backwards compatibility. As long as
it's still
hopefully.
Allegedly.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, hopefully we get that. Hopefully they keep a lot of the features from the PS4. Like, I hope they don't just get rid of, like, parties or something, or recording.
If they get rid of the recording, we're gonna be fucked.
But yeah, I don't really care if they do VR for it, because I have a Quest, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna get a Quest, but I'll probably also get the PSVR because I know that what they've been doing with it. They're starting to make games that you can have one person playing in VR, one person playing not.
Yeah.
And online that way, like, say, like, eventually, like, they've started talking about making, like, Call of Duty games where if you have a VR, you can start wearing the VR.
That'd be interesting. So maybe stuff like that, because I had a list of stuff I wanted to prepare for this. I even put VR/AR because every time I think of VR, I always think of the anime Sword Art Online.
I really don't hope that we go to augmented reality.
I'd love that. I don't know.
Well,
I think
I don't know how they would do it. Like, unless they.
Yeah. Let's make that a different. Maybe we'll make that a different episode. Who knows? If you'd like to see that, like a whole VR versus AR,
one like
video. Yeah, well, give us one like outside of us, and we'll try to make it happen.
It's so terrible at this.
I know.
Like goals, come on, give us good ones. Give us hundreds. I want 100 likes in this fucking video.
Yeah, but no, we gotta think of we gotta make
different locations.
we gotta make it easy for stuff. We gotta make it easy for us, so that way we can make more videos or give us more topics to use. So again, if you'd like to see us do a VR versus AR kind of thing, and like in our opinion of it, we might do a special little Kelly's Corner episode of it. Yeah, I think this is it for the very first episode of Kelly's Corner. Hope you enjoyed it. If you play PS4, again, if you haven't played some of the games that we mentioned here, check them out, definitely. But if you have, make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to comment down below which ones are some of your favorites. If we haven't mentioned them, let us know. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to go check us out on our YouTube channel, Spawn Point. Give us a subscribe, ding that bell, make sure you follow us, and
God, we're selling out.
Thank you for listening.
Kelly's selling out.
Yeah, apparently Kelly's selling out. Like, oh God, we're selling out.
Yeah, this video is brought to you by
Raid Shadow Legends, and it's also make sure you also check out that G Food.